Today, the world witnessed a most propitious occasion as the United States Embassy opened in Jerusalem. This is leading up to Shavuot, or Pentecost, of 2018, and these two things are very much in alignment on the prophetic horizon. Because it was May 15th, 1948, 1800 hours Washington, D.C. time, which was midnight Jerusalem time, that by act of the United Nations, Israel became a nation in one day. Now, Israel knew that they would be immediately attacked, and so the day before, on May 14th, David Ben-Gurion called a secret meeting in Tel Aviv, and that is when he announced the formation of the State of Israel. It was from that point, 70 years later, just about to the hour, that the United States opened its embassy with a ceremony in Jerusalem. The Marine Security Guard Detachment presented the colors, and as they were marching the colors up to the stage, I was then speaking to my wife, and I decided that I would wear my Marine Security Guard Battalion pin that I earned while I was a part of that detachment. And as I was watching this take place, I was immediately thinking about whether the President of the United States was there, because we had just tuned in. And sure enough, the President of the United States was there. Not Donald Trump, but the ambassador to Israel from the United States. He is the highest ranking official of the United States government. If Mike Pence were over in Israel on this day, the highest ranking official in the land of Israel would be the United States ambassador. And so our president was there for this great occasion. Now, why I say this is leading up to Pentecost or Shavuot, and why I'm doing this, because this Shavuot is a most significant event. It was May 15th, 1948, 1800 hours Washington, D.C. time, which was midnight in Jerusalem, that the United Nations, by an act of the United Nations, made Israel a nation in one day, fulfilling the prophecy of Isaiah, that the nation of Israel would be born at once, would be born in a day, something that had never been heard of in the history of the human race before, and Isaiah prophesied this. And this is what happened May 15th, 1948. However, the day before May 15th, David Ben-Gurion, knowing that the nation of Israel would be immediately attacked by the Arab nations surrounding her, decided that he would announce it a day early. And so though he announced it a day early, and now 70 years from that day, the United States opens its embassy, but the fact of the matter is, this was a most significant prophetic date, and this is what we are going to get into in our special Shabbat Night Live for Shavuot, which will be beginning on Friday, May 25th, and the 27th will be officially Shavuot or Pentecost. Now, I want to bring this up to you because it's important that we understand that the Creator does not run the universe around our reckoning of time. And though May 15th, 1948, by act of the United Nations, was officially when Israel became a nation in one day, that is not according to the Jewish calendar. And the Jewish calendar, which was invented in 359 of the Common Era by Rabbi Hillel II in the last act of the Sanhedrin before disbanding and going into exile, it was at that point that they instituted a new calculated calendar. And in that calculated calendar, they eventually changed how Shavuot was reckoned. This is most significant because every Jewish calendar today will give a rabbinic date, a Pharisee date, and a Zedekim or a Sadducee date for the Feast of Shavuot. It's on every one of their calendars that they had to recognize that there was a division that took place. But the Zedekim priests, the Sadducees, the Zedekim priests were the ones in charge of the temple, and the Feast of the Lord were kept according to that reckoning of time. May 15th, 1948 was a date that will live in infamy, because this is the day the Creator said to count. From the day of the first fruits, which is during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, we count 7 Sabbaths. And the day after the 7th Sabbath, we have a celebration of Shavuot, the Feast of Sevens. And the 7th Sabbath of the counting of the Omer, that which we were told to do so specifically that we are to count every single day, that is the day Israel became a nation in one day. But the entire world missed this because the rabbinic calendar in 359 changed the reckoning. And in 1948, that mathematical logarithm added a 13th month and ate our bet into that year that was not at all necessary, and it completely threw off what we would understand as the Creator's reckoning of time. But it did not throw the Creator off. He told us every year to count these 7 Sabbaths. And the day after, the 50th day, we would have a celebration of the counting of these 7 Sabbaths. Why were we to count these 7 Sabbaths? Because Israel's future would be nailed to that very prophetic event. Israel became a nation on the 7th Sabbath of the counting of the Omer, and Shavuot is when we celebrate the rebirth of Israel. And so, May 27th of 2018, that will be Shavuot. And the 7th Sabbath of the counting of the Omer is always significant in Scripture. And then, in fact, that is the day that Yeshua healed the man who was lame for 38 years. And on the Temple Mount, on Shavuot, the Pharisees were making plans of how to kill him, as it says in John chapter 5. Ladies and gentlemen, the feasts of the Lord are prophetic shadow pictures of good things to come. I have been teaching this for the last 35 years, and I will continue to teach this because there are yet fulfillments that will take place. The fall feast have not yet been fulfilled, and they have not yet been initiated. But with this being the 70th year from Israel's inception, this Shavuot, we will watch and see if this is the year that the Almighty begins to open things up that will lead to the coming of the Messiah, which will be years in the future. But there are so many things that must transpire first, so many prophecies that are yet to be fulfilled, and we are seeing them being fulfilled, and even today. May 14th, 1948, that is when the embassy opened on the Gentile reckoning of time, but Israel became a nation on the 7th Sabbath of the counting of the Omer on the Creator's reckoning of time, and that is going to lead us this year to Shavuot, May 27th. Join us for our special broadcast for Shavuot.